The past is our guide to the future. If it shows us nothing else, it shows us that a class-caste society bears the seeds of its own self-destruction. A society based on the capitalistic greed of men will inevitably destroy itself. The pursuit of power and wealth have corrupted and exploited all life for thousands of years. The power and wealth gained is almost always at the expense of a whole society. Look to the societies of ancient Egypt, a society obsessed with the power and wealth of the few by the blood and tears of the many. For example, 60,000 slave laborers died in the construction, a people decimated for the tomb of the pharaoh Khufu. Who can say that the glory and ostentatious ideals of one should outweigh the lives of the many? Think of it, 60,000 plus died to build a testament of wealth and power for one man's pride to echo for his vanity for all time. This madness. Khufu and other pharaohs were buried in megalith structures with gold and riches that would stagger the very minds of us all while doing nothing for their own people. In Rome, those in power sought to spread their idea of personal glory to each corner of the earth through fascism, enslavement, and the brutalizing of their own fellow creatures. In the Colosseum and the Circus Maximus, the blood of those below them entertained the wealthy. They bled their fellow men and butchered their own creatures for their spectacles and pleasure. The poor mob of Rome was filled with a love of carnage, and their masters used this to distract them from thinking on important issues, much like our own entertainment, mindless, idiotic, does today. For example, if an affluent rich family has a son to put in office, they would stage gladiatorial combat, feed Christians to lions, and throw bread to the hungry while they cheered the carnage. This in turn pacified the mob, and they would vote for the family's son. Thousands of men were sent to rend each other to pieces in the name of the Caesar. When a new emperor was crowned, thousands of slaves and useful animals were slaughtered in the name by his order. All this death was at the whim of a member of the rich and powerful ruling class. I could write for a lifetime on the capitalistic evils of the ancient world, but that is the past. We know these systems failed and were routed by their people. These societies became dust. Now, let us look to the present. We've sent men to the cosmos, we've mastered communications, we've harnessed hydroelectric and solar powers, jet propulsion and nuclear energies. In the last 100 years, the world seems to have found the philosopher's stone of invention. Knowledge unimaginable to the minds of the past has been harnessed. The dreams of the most evil could not conceive of the weaponry developed to help men destroy each other. Weapons used by our own government are so insidious that they not only kill the so-called enemy, they also, anyone in the so-called war zone. For example, when a government utilizes uranium to make weapons of mass destruction, a huge mass of nuclear waste is created. In the United States, depleted uranium is used by those in power to create bombs and warheads, which not only kill the entire ecosystem, but leave the land itself decimated. The air unfit to breathe, the water undrinkable, and the worst is its cancer toll. But wait, there's more. Oh yes, even the unborn suffer. The birth defects caused by depleted uranium weapons use are the quiet, torturous aftermath of nuclear warfare, of nuclear proliferation. CNN, Fox News must find these pictures too offensive to the public to show them on their networks. I'm sickened by them, but use them to turn my back on truth I will not do. These photos are not half of the horror. If you take time from your busy schedule to look at the horrors I'm speaking of, not just nuclear warfare, but look upon the children, brains on the outside of skulls, living in beds, quiet, lives of torment. Depleted uranium poisons life for generations to come. This needs to stop. Imagine the pain and misery of these innocent children endearing, born with a chance so terrible that all can think is to put an end to their misery. Also, the few can intimidate the world. Not just America is responsible, but we have the largest percentage of nuclear weapons in the world to date. In this new age of reason and enlightenment, in the calming fluorescent glow of the modern age, chaos and corruption continue as powerful and as affluent as ever. For example, right this minute, groups of men and women are rending themselves to pieces and destroying civilization under the guise of diplomacy for the whim of the few. Our own men and women die and kill each other in the name of democracy and peace. All the while, the people allow these world organizations, every form of industry and military, to be at their disposal. For any reason, the birth defects from the depleted uranium are known, the suffering of war is known, and all the while people buy into it and allow the few all the liberties of murderous dogs. Have those in power no conscience? To the dimmest person among those that do not call for an end to it, I say, go to Iraq, go to Iran, Go see for yourselves the streets of Palestine. Go to Africa, in the many nations of the world where children scream their last. Go to a third of the world and you will see a man against man, the bursting of bomb and the indiscriminate bullet, nuclear bombs that would destroy all life in a society and leave it a quagmire not fit for the cockroach. Now touch that torn dead thing on the ground. It used to be someone, an individual man, woman, or child with dream and identity. Someone loved that piece of dead flesh, for it was someone's child or parent. Now understand that this planned and orchestrated slaughter goes on. We read of it in our papers and drool over it on our televisions, yet we accept all this as the way things are and as necessary evils. Necessary to whom? They, your rulers and masters, and their masters? Who are they? These rulers of nation and industry. They are those that sit at the throne of power in state and national office. Those few plutocrats decide the economies of nation and the fate of us all. They are those that would destroy all things good and useful in the name of greed and power and avarice. They would need not ask for the wealth and privilege as it flows into their gaping mouth. They got this power by force, deceptiveness, and by birthright, by befouling of the public mind and trust. They build bridges to personal Eden with the bones of the dead befouled beneath them. These people cannot be individually responsible because of the term incorporated. Think of a beast that ravages all of society. This beast has no head, perhaps a million heads. The point is, it leaves the common man asking himself, who can I blame and how can I do anything to stop something so great and powerful before me? A single man cannot take the blame, for this is the work of an ideal. The enemy, you see, is capitalism. During the Vietnam War era, we clearly see that it was the capitalists' war. War profits, the oil monsters, the rubber barons, the arms dealers. Oh, arms dealers love war, as do oil men. You see, they're so moralless that they take both sides. Arms dealers sold high-tech submachine guns to the U.S. military and also sold cheap Kalashnikov machine guns to the North Vietnamese. They capitalized off of the destruction of their fellow creatures. The draft was well orchestrated at a time when 4 out of 10 utilized the welfare system. Latinos, black people, poor white people, southern minorities were the majority drafted. Our puppet government, in the name of diplomacy, utilized a war to get rid of a so-called problem. Fascism, the forced control of a society. The draft was fascism at its finest. Again, like in a world war, one people were forced to kill and die for the few. They were forced to fight for unjust cause, under fear of imprisonment, to overthrow a democratically elected government for the people, by the people, and of the people. Well over half of the country protested the Vietnam War. If we were truly a democratic society, then we would have never involved our sons and daughters in that war. But think on what was to be gained and profited in this war. Special Forces men have come forward and claimed to have spent their tours guarding poppy fields from the NVC. When the crop was harvested, it was traded to an outside party for guns and food. The crop was reportedly shipped out in black helicopters. I've read reports written by men who came forward, and I believe them. What have they to gain from lying about it? Is it a coincidence that there was such a resurgence of heroin in the United States during the Vietnam War era? Is this coincidence or capitalistic measures to profiteer off every aspect of warfare? The DEA agents and the resurgence of heroin was a direct result of the CIA. We know this. Today this has been shown to us. It was released and we can read about it. Yet our televisions do not tell us of it, and our newspapers do not scream of it. The Bush administration was urged to destroy opium plantations in Afghanistan in the 2000s, but refused to do so, even though the sale of this drug directly funded terror organizations throughout the Middle East. According to Charles Smith, a journalist writing on Bush's failure to destroy Afghani opium crops in 2002, the CIA did almost the identical thing during the Vietnam War, which had catastrophic consequence. The increase in the heroin trade in the USA began in the 70s. It's directly attributed to the CIA. The CIA has been complicit in the global drug trade for years, so I guess they just want to carry on their favorite business, unquote. This allied intelligence official works closely with United States law enforcement. This information, so much more, is available through refutable medias. It's you people's responsibility and obligation to unborn generations to learn all you can about political treachery, of profit warfare, and the blind, heartless greed of destructive capitalism. I challenge all of you to prove me wrong in these works. I challenge all of you to educate yourselves on every aspect of capitalism before you learn about Marxism. Learn about capitalism and its works. Understand what it means. To you, comfortable middle-class caste avenger, to you, bourgeois defender of capitalism, I want to know if you really know what it means. According to Webster's dictionary, it says, the economic system in which all or most of the means of production and distribution is land, factories, railroads, etc. are privately owned and operated for profit, originally under competitive conditions. It has been generally characterized by a tendency towards concentration of wealth and in its latter phases, growth of great corporations, increased government control, and a lack of personal liberty, etc. Think of a trickle-down society, a fat man at a table. The man has control over a great feast, which he obtains by the toils and labors of the mice at his feet. These mice are the workers